Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the latest edition of Terrace Talk. Of course, it's been an international break, so the long-awaited return of Norwich City action is almost upon us. Friday this week, of course, with it being the Easter weekend, and it's a huge weekend for Norwich City. Two massive games, one, of course, at home to Plymouth and one away at Leicester. And, of course, we'll preview this game against Plymouth to start with. And with that, delighted to be joined by Aaron from the Argyle Life. Aaron, first and foremost, thanks for coming on the show. Of course, really do appreciate it. There's an interesting backstory, I think, for a lot of people that won't know. You're based in Norwich, but support Plymouth. So I think the question is, how come? Is that the case?
I'm coming live from Lakenham, so we could have just met up, to be fair. The nice part of Lakenham, if there is a nice part. So just came up here for university, studied here, enjoyed it, moved to London for a few years. COVID hit, decided to just come back here. It's just easier, isn't it? It's easier to get places. Everybody's going to be thinking, no, it isn't. Norwich is hard to get to from anywhere. I mean, it's still a lot easier than Cornwall, to be honest. So, that's why I'm here. Big Norwich Greens contingent. There's about 5 that I know of that are up here, so there might be a few more.
Yeah, so I'm sure plenty of those based down in Cornwall are not looking forward maybe to the long trip on Friday, or much like us, you'll know the kind of the lengths that it takes to get to away games. But a nice and local one for you. I think you've got a piece of memorabilia you might want to show the Norwich contingent.
Oh yeah, so there's a bit of a backstory. I was going to get a Norwich Greens flag last season just for when basically just to have a flag. Never had a flag, wanted one. Put it on Twitter, and lots of Ipswich fans called me Tin Pot, so I just made the word Norwich bigger, and every time I got called Tin Pot, I made it bigger and bigger. So it is actually massive. I don't know if I'm going to have to get it out, but there's some good scenes of Ballymumba celebrating with this when we won the title last season. But the word Norwich is actually massive. Obviously with the badge, it had to be done. And it was meant to be ready for the game at Portman Road as a bit of bait, and didn't come in time because I kept altering how big I wanted the word Norwich. So, you might see that in the away end. I don't know if I'll take it, but it might be there.
There we go. I'm sure anyone in the lower Berkeley, you have to check out for Aaron's flag there. Of course, we'll now get back into the football. We'll talk about maybe the more positive spell of recent Argyle history. Won the title last season. Started this season very well, of course, under Stephen Schumacher. He departs on the 19th of December for Stoke, 16th in the division then. Given kind of the good journey you had under him and the great start to the campaign, twinge of disappointment that he left it in the manner he did?
Yeah, I think it's you don't begrudge anybody opportunities that are going to better themselves. I think there's I'm sure you've had managers in the past that have gone on to other things, and if they take a step up and they go on to bigger and better, then sure. I think for us, a lot of it was the fact that he came out saying that he's one of us. He's a local. He like understands the club. He's in this for the long haul, bleeds green, and all of this. And then off to Stoke, and Stoke of all places, where I think we all know every manager that ever goes there. I think we've obviously Alex Neil. Every manager that goes there seems to think that they can turn it around, and it's just a basket case of a club. And I think, I'm not going to begrudge him a chance for like money and success and whatever. He's going to quadruple his wages. He's closer to home, all of that good stuff, sure. But to leave us in the lurch at such a crucial time in the season, a couple of weeks after he said he's not interested in leaving, is a bit of pill to swallow. But I think we're over that now. Although there is more pining for him back than we expected.
Yeah, I can imagine that pining's not being helped by the appointment. I've kind of picked up a few gauges off social media. Your replacement, Ian Foster, maybe not got kind of the Plymouth Argyle fans on side, I wouldn't say, from what I've seen. 7 points in his first 3 games, but only 5 points in the 9 subsequent games past that. I mean, how's he viewed by the Green Army? Is he a positive character? I'm assuming maybe not so.
Yeah, I think when we do our chat shortly after this, I think I'm going to ask you similar about how David Wagner turned it around, and it feels very similar to the maybe not hate, maybe hate's not the word, dislike that you guys would have felt early on in Wagner's tenure, in the fact that he's just a bit I don't want to say dull, but it comes from the FA school of coaches, basically. It's very, very similar to Southgate football in the fact that we have all this attacking talent and like he's happy to just go and like knock a 1-0 win. But at the moment, we're not getting those wins. So, as you say, form recently has been poor. It is awful to watch. It's dreadful football. If you're expecting entertainment on Good Friday, it might come from those in yellow and not in green. Although I assume we'll be wearing a white, but either way, the analogy still stands. We are dreadful to watch, and we've gone from. And I never really thought there was an Argyle way of doing things, but to be honest, we've been quite spoiled under Ryan Lowe and Stephen Schumacher that the football has been fast paced, front foot attacking, as you guys found out at home park. Like we didn't really give you a minute's rest. We let you play it around your back, but we'll be on you and we will attack. Whereas that seems to have gone. I understand the need to like strengthen up the defense, but that's not happened either, really. So, yeah, safe to say that he's not held in the highest of regards at the moment. But there's still time. He can turn this around.
Yeah, you mentioned there sort of all the maybe negative feelings towards him. He's not got lots of time for the rest of this season. Obviously, you're still embroiled in that relegation battle that's so big at the moment at the bottom of the Championship.
Yeah.
Do you think you've got enough for to turn this round in these last 8 games to survive? I mean, given kind of where you were probably Christmas time, it probably wasn't even something that crossed Argyle fans' mind maybe.
No, we got a bit complacent, I suppose, in the fact that we still under Schumacher. We just thought there's just no way we're going down. There's just absolutely no way. Like there are 3 worse teams than us. We're going to attack everyone. Yeah, we might not always win. Yeah, sometimes we might ship 3, 4, 5, but at least it's fun. It's exciting. And there's no way we're going down. Now we are deep in that discussion, as you put it, to go down. And I think it's between like 8 of us now. Well, Rotherham are gone. Between 7 of us, in which it could genuinely be any 2. It could be, it wouldn't surprise me if it's us and Stoke, or I suppose you could even count Millwall in that. That, yeah, like I said, we've gone from basic safety to meltdown.
Yeah, I can imagine that's been difficult to maybe get your head around, given kind of where you were. But there is lots of connections between Norwich and Plymouth, and I think Norwich fans have maybe got maybe less so after the home park saga. Certainly pre that, lots of I probably watched Plymouth last season because of a certain player that you've now got. You signed last summer, Barley Mumba, of course, joined you guys for about £1 million last summer. Lots of uproar from the Norwich end when that happened. A lot of disappointment maybe that David Wagner didn't give him an opportunity, but just 2 goals, 3 assists this season. How's he been getting on? I think maybe there's been I picked up on maybe sort of a few criticisms here and there. Maybe that his performances haven't been at the level of last season.
Yeah, he's one of those. He when he came back in the summer and he played against Dereham, was it for you in pre-season, and he started at right back, I was so confused. I was like, he's not a fullback. I mean, he didn't have the best game against Dereham, let's be honest. And if you can't cut it against Dereham, then you're not going to make it into Norwich's team, let's be honest. So, and at the time, I just could not understand, like most of your fans, why you'd sold him, because he looked absolutely phenomenal last season. And I think half of that is the issue that he's having this season, is that he just looked so good last season that that we sort of hold him in a higher regard than maybe we should. I mean, he's had stints at Sunderland, yourselves, and Peterborough in the Championship, and never really cut it there. Granted, playing centre mid, right back, and left wing, so he's had like a mixture of positions and never really cut it at Championship level. He looked phenomenal last season. We all expected more of the same. We didn't expect the same level, but we expected more of the same. Being able to beat a man, and to be honest, I think like his last excellent game where he looked brilliant was against you, and even then he wasn't. He wasn't our standout player on the day, and yeah, it's. I don't really know how we unlock him, because he works so well in that wing back position last season, like coming onto the ball, getting to the byline if he can, getting like cutting across his back, the Guardiola-esque new style of crossing that we have now, and then also just taking on a man, and he just doesn't do any of that this season, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's mainly because we're playing him at left wing, and not in his, like, I want to say natural, but in his best position of wing back.
Yeah, hopefully for his sake he can get back to his form. Of course, a really nice bloke to deal with. There's a few other connections, a few maybe less prominent, the likes of Saxon early on loan at Wickham now, Gibson and Barnes in our squad, both former Plymouth players. But there's a more recent one that made that switch from Carrow Road to Home Park in January. Adam Forshaw, not overly memorable, I'd say, in the Norwich City world. 9 appearances this season, lots of injured time, taking up wages, which I'm sure plenty of fans maybe share their frustrations on. Moved to you guys, started off quite well by all accounts, picked up another injury, has kind of been unfortunate for him and kind of a theme of his recent times. I think he did start 90 minutes against Blackburn, but then got injured again subsequently. So what have you made of kind of his spell so far?
Yeah, when he first came in, those first couple of games, we were like, how have we robbed this guy? Like, just couldn't understand. Again, same as like the Mumba situation. Like, how have you let this guy go? And I appreciate your level is a lot higher than ours, even though, your talent pool, even though we're in the same division. But if you've got a squad capable of pushing the playoffs, you are much better than a team at the bottom. The disparity is huge, and we just couldn't understand it. And then he got that first knock, and then he came back for the Blackburn game. Didn't look brilliant. He just looks nervous. And I understand why. Like if you're constantly picking up niggles, you're gonna just not want to be injured again, aren't you? You're just gonna want to be able to play, and maybe that brings like an element of caution, I suppose. But yeah, it's when he plays, brilliant. But we're seeing a lot of what everybody told us on Twitter, that he will just be crocked all the time. But to be fair, we lack leaders in that squad, so just having him in there for his experience in the Championship isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, certainly got the know-how, so hopefully he can get back on track. Who's maybe I suppose the obvious key man is, of course, Morgan Whittaker. We saw that at Home Park back in sort of September, October time with the hat-trick. 18 goals, 7 assists so far this season. Is he the one key man to look out for, and maybe is there someone in the sort of camp that we kind of, aside from him, could sort of see the best from on Friday?
Yeah, I suppose we've only really got 2 key men. I suppose we've got Michael Cooper in goal as well, but he's not really... he's been out injured a lot of this season as well, but we've only really got 2 key men now that we've lost Finn Azaz. In that Morgan Whittaker, as you know, hat-trick. I think Hardy also scored. Let's have a look. Yeah. No, he didn't. Hardy didn't score. He got 2 assists against you at Home Park. He is, I would say, he's on the verge of like a Scotland, or if he isn't, he should be on the verge of a Scotland call-up. Ryan Hardy, that is. He's worked his ass off we signed him in League 2. For an undisclosed fee, which was rumoured to be pennies, from Blackpool, and he is absolutely phenomenal. His work rate is brilliant. He is a very much confident striker. But yeah, those would be our two attacking outputs. But as mentioned earlier, under Ian Foster, we don't really attack, so maybe you don't even need to worry about them at all, because since Foster's come in, they have both gone off the boil massively.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of Norwich fans will be hoping that's the case. A big game on Friday for us. I know, obviously, given the fact you're based down here, you've got probably lots of connections with people that do support Norwich. Just intrigued to get your sort of thoughts on the season so far. Obviously, you'd have been in the city and maybe picking up on the vibe of kind of David Wagner and the split sort of, I suppose the fans have had over him at certain points this campaign. We're now on sort of the playoff battle, moved up into 6 quite recently. Do you sort of think Norwich have got enough to sneak in that top 6 mix come the end of the campaign?
Yeah, I was asked this earlier in the season in like a Championship group who would take that 6th spot, and I just had to say Norwich, because you just always seem to find a way, don't you? Like just every season that I've known, or been in the city and known Norwich, you've either been fighting for promotion or relegation, and I can imagine that's quite exciting until it doesn't happen. Yeah, I can see you sneaking that spot. I think you've got it over over Hull. Is it Hull that you're competing for it with? And
Yeah,
Coventry.
Hull, Coventry, I'd say are probably the two.
Yeah, I would say you've got. I would say you've got it. I think that dreaded final against Ipswich at Wembley would be phenomenal if that could happen. Just for the nerves alone, I think the whole city would be in meltdown, which would be brilliant. But yeah, following Norwich, I suppose semi-closely, obviously due to geographic reasons, nothing else really. Is that like all the Norwich fans that I know are so what's the word I'm looking for here before they roast me? Is temperamental the word? Like 1 minute they're on cloud nine and the next they're in the gutter, and I just can't take them seriously. I just think like you have it so good. Like, yes, okay, your owner might not be the richest in the world. Yes, okay, the little club down the road might have just got a big cash injection or whatever. But like, you do you, and you'll be absolutely fine. Like, you've done fine on your tiny little budget that you like to tell everybody about for years. You'll be fine again. I know that's not me saying you should settle for anything less than the best, but yeah, sometimes you need to sort of zone out of the bubble a little bit and just notice that you might actually just be all right being Norwich, and yeah, you'll be fine. Come what may, I could see you back in the Premier League and everybody wondering what all the fuss was about.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case from our perspective. With that, we'll sort of turn the attention forward now to Friday. How are you feeling heading down to Carrow Road on Friday? You're thinking, Plymouth have got it in the tank to go and sort of turn this horrible form around. I think Norwich are unbeaten at Carrow Road since November, so there's sort of a record there to be broken. Do you think the Pilgrims could be the team to do it?
Yeah, I was looking at some of your stats earlier from your recent games at Carrow Road. It's something like 40 games and 35 wins, isn't it? It's phenomenal. Can we break that? Absolutely not. If we play like we have recently, absolutely not. No chance in hell. But we've had the international break, 2 weeks on the grass with Ian Foster, or a week because they had a week off, I suppose. We might see differences, but can I see us turning around a playoff push from you guys? At Fortress Carrow Road, absolutely not. I just cannot see it. And as much as I need to be positive and want to be positive, and as I was saying to you off air, I've been rubbing in that 6-2 win for months. If we turn around now and lose, I don't think and get battered. Sorry, if we lose, I can take that. But if we get battered, like I'm sort of semi-expecting, I cannot wear my Argyle shirt to goals for quite some time.
Yeah, so I think it's not been a particularly happy hunting ground for Argyle. I think it's one win at Carrow Road since 1961, and that was in 2007. So
yeah,
I suppose there's a stat there to be broken. With that, going to ask you for a score prediction, Aaron. Sort of put a score out there for our punters.
Yeah, Is Sargent likely to start?
We've got the press conference on Wednesday, so I think he did pick up a slight knock at Stoke, but I think the feeling is that he will be available for Friday, which is huge for us.
I'll go 3-1.
3-1.
Actually, can't even see us getting that goal, to be honest. I'm semi-laughing at that. 3-1, 3-0, Norwich.
I can see it being a sort of similar theme, but these things are always there to be broken. I'm sure Norwich fans won't underestimate Argyle, particularly given, of course, the reverse fixture, which we're sort of trying to erase my memories. And finally, Aaron, just want to plug your podcast and where Plymouth and Norwich fans can go and find your guys' content.
So just find us at Argyle Life 1886. The podcast is actually called the Green and White Podcast. Don't ask me why they've got different names. I don't know. I didn't do that. I didn't set it up. But you just find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of that. Just find Argyle Life, and then you'll just find a little link to the pod or the YouTube or whatever. Nice and easy.
There we go. We'll link all that good stuff down below. Let's hope for a good game on Friday. I'm sure there's going to be it's a huge game for both sides for different reasons. Norwich hoping to maintain their place in the top six. Plymouth, of course, hoping to try and steer away from relegation. It's all set up for a good game. Two sides that I'm sure will be desperate for 3 points. And with that, we'll sign off. We'll see you next week. Of course, a really big week for the Canaries, particularly these two games before an East Anglian derby at Carrow Road.